Welcome, have a nice day. Today is Friday, 8th of November 2024. This day is celebrated as World Radiography Day. World Radiography is an annual event observed on November 8th to celebrate the discovery of X-rays by Wilhelm Conrad Roentgen in 1895. From the Indian history point of view, 1927, Lal Krishna Advani's birthday. Lal Krishna Advani, often referred to as the LK Advani, is an Indian politician who played a significant role in the country's political landscape. He was born on November 8, 1927 in Karachi, British India, now in Pakistan. Now, starting with the world news, including German coalition collapses, what comes next? President Biden's first speech from Democrats' defeat will accept the choice the country made. New wave of United States abortion restrictions feared with potential Trump presidency. President Putin congratulates Trump on election victory, says he's open to dialogue. UTSA student found dead in campus parking garage, suicide suspected. Philadelphia schools prepare for potential SEPTA strike. Now, briefly starting the newspaper analysis with the newspaper The Hindu states that Putin congratulates Trump in first public comments on United States election results. File picture of the United States President Donald Trump with the Russian President Vladimir Putin. The Kremlin earlier welcomed Mr. Trump's claim that he could negotiate an end to the conflict in the Ukraine in 24 hours, but emphasized that it will wait for concrete policy steps. Russian President Vladimir Putin on Thursday, November 7, 2024, congratulated Donald Trump on his election victory in the first public comment on the United States vote. And he praised the president-elect's courage during their July assassination attempt. His behavior at the moment of an attempt on his life left an impression on me. He turned out to be a brave man, Mr. Putin said at an international forum following a speech in a Black Sea resort of Sochi. Myanmar junta chief discusses civil war with the key ally China. Myanmar junta chief Min Aung Hlaing held talks with the Premier Li Qiang of key ally China on the civil war rolling his country. Myanmar has been racked by conflict between the military and various armed groups opposed to its rule since the army ousted Aung San Suu Kyi elected government in February month of 2021. Myanmar's junta chief has held talks with the Premier Li Qiang of the key ally China on the civil war rolling his country, state media said Thursday during his first visit to the country since seizing power in the 2021 coup. Min Aung Hlaing told Li at a meeting in the southwestern city of Kunming that the military was ready for peace if armed groups would engage, according to an account of the meeting in the Global Light News of Myanmar (GNLM). Myanmar has been racked by conflict between the military and various armed groups opposed to its role since the army ousted Aung San Suu Kyi's elected government in February month of 2021. The junta is reeling from a major rebel offensive last year that seized a large area of territory, much of it nearby the border with China. PDP, JKPC and AIP legislators bring a fresh joint resolution on Article 370 in Jammu and Kashmir state of India. Awami Ittihadi Party AIP MLA Khurshid Ahmed Sheikh with the Jammu and Kashmir's People's Congress President Sajjad Ghani Lone and others during the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly session in the Srinagar on Thursday. The group of MLAs term the ruling National Conference resolution passed earlier in the House to be vague and ambiguous, demand immediate restoration of Article 370 in unaltered form. Legislators of the People's Democratic Party (PDP), J&K People's Conference (JKPC), and Awami Ittihadi Party (AIP) on Thursday moved a fresh resolution before the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly against the unconstitutional and unillustrated on electoral abrogation, Article 370 and Article 35A. The NC resolution was a vague and ambiguous, keeping in mind public sentiment and outrage. We condemned the centre's move of August 5, 2019. We requested the National Conference to table this resolution, Mr. Para said. JKPC President Sajid Loan, who also signed the resolution, said if the NC don't bring a resolution, then it's a fixed match. It was a weak resolution. We did not come to the assembly for this. The jointly signed resolution of Mr. Para, Mr. Loan, PDP, MLA Fayaz Mira and AIP legislature and Sheikh Rashid Raidis, this House strongly condemns the unconstitutional and unilateral abrogation of Article 370 and Article 35A, along with the enactment of the Jammu and Kashmir Organization Act 2019 by the Government of India. These actions strip Jammu and Kashmir of its special status and statehood, undermining the foundational guarantees and protections originally accorded to the region and its people by the Constitution of India. Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha calls for the restoration of Jammu and Kashmir statehood, loud high turnout in polls. It said the House unequivocally demands the immediate restoration of Article 370 and Article 35A in their original, unaltered form, and calls for the reversal of all the changes introduced by the Jammu and Kashmir Organization Act 2019. It urges the Union government to respect the constitutional democratic sanctity of Jammu and Kashmir by reinstating all special provisions and guarantees to preserve its distinct identity, culture, and potential political autonomy. However, the National Conference has criticized the move. How can three legislators pass a resolution? It has no validity. A resolution which talks about a special status and constitutional guarantees has already been passed with the support of 62 legislators, NC legislator Salman Sagar said. Now, going towards the Hindustan Times newspaper states that it's complicated what Trump means for India, United States ties. Prime Minister Narendra Modi with Donald Trump in New Delhi. Understanding what Donald Trump means for India requires an examination of what Trump speaks for America and placing India, which is an important actor for United States strategy but not as indispensable as some in India like to believe within that framework. But understanding what Trump means for India also requires an examination of what Washington, D.C. means for New Delhi. What makes it possible for New Delhi to achieve those aims and placing the possible orientation of Trump administration within that framework. A Trump administration, by being less publicly interventionist in domestic politics and more sensitive to internal security concerns, is likely to create a political space for New Delhi to continue deepening ties with the United States. This is especially so in the backdrop of the increasing political pressure on the government from its own base to rethink its approach to the United States because of the perceived, not necessarily real slights from the Democratic administration. Chief Justice of India unveils museum chronicling judicial history. Chief Justice of India D.Y. Chandrachud, during the inauguration of the National Judicial Museum and Archive (NJMA) at the Supreme Court in New Delhi on Thursday. Chief Justice of India Dhananjaya Y. Chandrachud on Thursday inaugurated the National Judicial Museum and Archive (NJMA) at the Supreme Court, which serves as a gateway into the history behind the Indian judicial institutions. Spanning 3 floors, NJMA, which has been set up while the old Judges Library used to function, is a unique space dedicated to the nation's journey towards the justice, as it is not only offers a broad overview of the court's past but also captures the essence of their judicial and institutional histories. The first floor gives the visitors a digital and pictorial overview of the judicial system of an ancient, medieval, and the British India. Along with that, the first floor houses artifacts belonging to 19th, 20th, and 21st century, including a cap of the Privacy Counselor of the Madhya Pradesh High Court, a decommissioned Smith Corona vintage silent typewriter crafted in the United States in 1939 that served the Federal Court in New Delhi, and Judge Chair of the Federal Court of India in New Delhi. Now, going towards the economy of the country from the business point of view, Sensex and Nifty tank over 1%. What are the factors behind this fall? The broader Nifty 50 tank 1.23% to an intraday a low of 24,181.95. The index opened at 24,489.60 as against Wednesday's close of 24,484.05. The 30-share building stock exchange Sensex plummeted 1.19% to a low of 79,419.34 during the intraday trades. The index opened at 80,563.42 compared to the previous close of 80,378.13. Among the 30 building stock exchange Sensex companies, 27 were trading in the red. The domestic equity market, which rose on Wednesday, led by Donald Trump's victory in the just concluded United States election, failed to sustain the momentum on Thursday. Amid caution ahead of policy announcements by the new United States President and the United States Federal Reserve, a policy decision later today, expectations of an increase in interest rate by the Bank of Japan are also weighing on investor sentiments. The benchmark indices Sensex and Nifty tanked over 1% each on Thursday. The stocks of IT companies that came on Wednesday also saw sharp corrections. From runways to real estate, here is how Gurgaon and Noida airports are fueling infrastructure growth. One of the key ways to understand how airports impact real estate development is by looking at price shifts before and after airport operations. Joy Airport site. United States Federal Reserve cuts interest rates again by 25 basis points amid Trump's return to the White House. Policymakers on Thursday noted that inflation continues on an upward trajectory, while there is a job market which has generally eased. Fed rate cut has put the lending rates at 4.5% up to 4.75%. The Federal Reserve's Jerome Powell lowered the interest rates in the September month for the first time in the 4 years and has now continued the trend, indicating confidence that price rises were finally stabilizing. Now, going towards science and tech, we have the keep the brand on millets to retain health benefits study. Foxtail millet ready for harvest at a farm in Tindigul district. Dehusked millets are nutritious and should be promoted in Indian diets to improve diet quality, say authors. Removing the bran from millets results in the decreasing the protein, dietary fiber, fat, mineral, and phytate content in them, while increasing the carbohydrate and amylose content. A recent paper in the peer-reviewed journal Nature Springer has shown this could squander away the benefits of the eating millets. The article Impact of Debraining on the Nutritional Cooking Microstructural Characteristics of 5 Indian Small Millets by Shanmugam Shobana et al. Makes a case for consuming millets as a whole grain without the debraining. Dehusked millets are nutritious and should be promoted in Indian diets. To improve diet quality, debrained millets are nutritionally inferior and can increase the glycemic load of Indian diets. Authors say the study was conducted by the Department of the Madras Diabetes Research Foundation, MDR, Chennai, and the Indian Institute of Millet Research, Hyderabad. High in minerals. Millets are high in minerals such as calcium, iron, phosphorus, and potassium, and they are an excellent source of the phytochemicals such as phenolic compounds when compared to other major cereals. Rice, wheat, maize, conferring a range of health benefits such as anti-aging, anti-carcinogenic, anti-atherosclerogenic, antibacterial, and antioxidant effects. The Food and Agriculture Organization (FAO) recognized 2023 as the International Year of the Millets, and the Indian government went all out to celebrate it. All eyes on Bakko and the climate finance goal. The $100 billion annual climate finance pledge has been a glaring source of the distrust. With the developing countries burdened by the climate crisis, they do not cast the critical question is whether negotiations on a global climate finance will deliver outcomes or just promises. The new collective quantified goal and security will be a key determinant of the Conference of Party 29, also touted as a finance Conference of Party, turning out to be successful. The foundation of climate finance action is unequivocally centered on addressing the needs and priorities of the developing countries as mandated in Article 9 of the Paris Agreement. NCQG, and set to be finalized at the Conference of Party 29, will shape the future of climate finance. Conference of Party 29 is being held in Baku, Azerbaijan, from November 11 to 22nd, 2024. That is this month. Prime Minister Modi and Environment Minister are likely to attend the United Nations Climate Summit in Baku. A countdown display for the Conference of Party 29 United Nations Climate Change Conference is set in Baku, Azerbaijan on October 31st, 2024. Union Minister of the State of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Kirti Vardhan Singh, will lead the Indian delegation at the high-level segment of the November 18 to 19. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is unlikely to attend the United Nations Climate Conference in Azerbaijan. That Environment Minister Bhupendra Yadav may also miss, official sources said on Thursday, November 7, 2024. Union Minister of State Environment, Forest and Climate Change Kirti Vardhan Singh will lead the 19-member Indian delegation and deliver India's national statement at the high-level segment on November 18 to 19. India will host a pavilion at the Conference of Party 29, marking its first appearance since the 2021 United Nations Climate Conference in Glasgow. India will not host a pavilion at Conference of Party 29, marking its first appearance since the 2021 United Nations Climate Conference in Glasgow. Mr. Modi will not attend the World Leaders Climate Action Summit at Conference of Party 29 scheduled for November 12 to 13. An official source confirmed to PTI. India's climate policies are expected to reduce carbon dioxide emissions by around 4 billion tons by 2030 report. Mr. Yadav is expected to skip the climate conference as he will be occupied with the November 20 assembly elections in Maharashtra while the BJP is in charge. According to sources, India's key priorities for the Conference of Party 29, including securing an ambitious new climate finance goal that meets the needs of all developing countries, and the operationalization of Article 6 of the Paris Agreement. At Conference of Party 29 in the Azerbaijan capital Baku, countries are required to reach an agreement on the new collective quantified goal NCQG. Remember the new collective quantified goal, the new amount developed nations must mobilize every year starting 2025 to support climate actions in the developing countries. Article 6 establishes a framework for countries to trade carbon credits generated from the reducing their greenhouse gas emissions, thereby helping other nations in achieving their climate goals. The sources further said that India sought to ensure negotiations remain within the framework of the United Nations Climate Change Convention and the Paris Agreement. Conference of Party 29. What are the key issues at the United Nations Climate Summit in Baku? Developed nations are pushing to expand the list of their contributors to climate finance, with countries such as Switzerland and Canada proposing criteria to broaden the donor base. Negotiators and policy experts from developing countries argue that expanding the climate finance contributor base exceeds the mandate for NCQG and may disrupt negotiations on the new finance goal. Developing countries have also voiced strong opposition to unilateral trade measures such as the European Union's carbon border adjustment mechanism, asserting that under the United Nations climate rules, no nation should impose emission reduction strategies on the others. China, representing the basic group of countries Brazil, South Africa, India and China, has submitted a proposal to the UNFCCC, United Nations Federal Climate requesting that Conference of Party 29 addresses this issue. At last, there is a famous quotation by a famous Muslim scholar was known by his famous name Rumi. Full name Jalaluddin Muhammad Rumi. Birth anniversary is 30th of September 1207 up to 17 December 1273. Was a 13th century poet, Hanafi fiqh, jurist, Islamic scholar, Maturidi theologian, mutakallim, and Sufi mystic originally from Greater Khorasan in Greater Iran. Rumi's works were written mostly in the Persian but occasionally also used Turkish, Arabic, and Greek in the various verse. His Masnavi, composed in Konya, is considered one of the greatest poems of the Persian language. Rumi's influence has transcended national borders and ethnic divisions. Iranians, Afghans, Tajiks, Turks, Kurds, Greeks, Central Asian Muslims, as well as the Muslims of the Indian subcontinent, have greatly appreciated his spiritual legacy for the past 7 centuries. His poetry influenced not only in Persian literature but also literary traditions of the Ottoman Turkish, Chagatai, Pashto, Kurdish, Urdu, and Bengali languages. Rumi's works are widely read today in their original languages across Greater Iran and the Persian-speaking world. His poems have subsequently been translated into many of the world's languages and transposed into the various formats. Rumi has been described as the most popular poet, is very popular in Turkey, Azerbaijan, and South Asia, and has become the best-selling poet in the United States. Maulana Rumi says a very famous quotation. He says that you have to keep breaking your heart until it opens. Okay, thank you.